So let's get back into why you decided that company culture was important to you. Was it something you read? Was there a particular moment? Was there anyone that you spoke to that made you realize that there was a certain way to build teams?
Great question. So I think it's a combination of all those things, right? So in the past, I have worked for great companies that have invested lots of resources and lots of time into building teams. Initially, when I first joined in a company like that, I was a bit confused. Why is there so much effort going into team building, right? Why are there all these activities with the team? Why is there so much collaboration going on, right? It's more effective, right, to just have me working on my thing, right, and being separated from everyone else. But the answer is, yeah, that's how you build a sustainable company, right? That's how you create a culture of learning. That's how you learn from each other. One thing that is my kind of favorite part of this is when you put multiple smart people on the same project, right, or kind of on the same problem that they need to solve, provided that there is a framework, for making decisions and so on. So provided that it's not complete chaos, then their experience and their knowledge, right, it all adds up in ways which are exponential, which are non-linear, right? And you get results which are just something that any particular person couldn't really have come up with, right? It's something new, something really, really interesting.
Yeah.
And the combination of this interesting insight that comes out of teamwork and long-term sustainability, right? Where folks actually feel like they're working with a team they like and they actually enjoy being part of that team day to day. That's, I feel, where the power of teams comes in.
So how exactly does this process work for the writers?
So generally, there's a few steps that every article follows. So we always start with an outline. We then take that outline and expand that into a more complete article. There's an editing step right after that, where all the style points and grammar points are getting smoothed out. And then in most cases, there's client feedback at the end, right? Small points that the client wants us to adapt or change or tweak. And that's a fairly straightforward process that usually takes around 1 to 2 weeks from start to end. We have clear assignments of people who are responsible for each step. There's always conversation going on between, back and forth between everyone involved. And there's kind of clear expectations of when the previous step is going to be completed and when you will be able to start, when you will be able to finish your task, so that everything moves on to the next step.
Okay, so it sounds like there's quite a clear explanation and support for the actual writing process. Does the writer have access? So you said that the topics are pre-generated with the client, and then someone makes the examples. Does the writer have like extra access to the example creators in case they sort of run into trouble?
Absolutely. And in many cases, this is the two-way communication that enables really interesting articles to get created, right? So you take the example that was created probably before you even started writing, and then you're able to go back to the person who created that example, ask them questions if you need to, and then suggest changes if you feel like if there's something in the article that you would like to highlight that's not in the example yet, we can get it added, we can get the example tweaked, right? So that we kind of highlight the points that need highlighted.
So I think what you're telling me is that actually, in terms of the writing, because having been a writer for a long time, it can be quite daunting to feel that you're doing it on your own. And also it can be a struggle sometimes to work with others, because I don't know, just I've worked with some very sort of authoritarian writing editors, and sometimes they don't let you do the writing. So what you're saying is there's a bit of help on either side to actually elevate your ideas rather than having them squashed. Is that the kind of thing you're talking about?
Absolutely. And what we want essentially to do is to preserve everyone's style and to allow them to develop their own style while still keeping things consistent for the client, right? Because what the client doesn't want is, the level of quality that's all over the place, right? What they do want is something that's consistent, but we do it in a way that allows us to preserve each writer's individual voice, right? And then just make sure that there is the final parts are just kind of smooth out and the grammar is correct and so on.